Help your children to love the Holy Qur'an. Sal At-Tustari said, "My uncle once told me, 'Remember God who created you.' I said, 'How should I remember Him?' He replied, 'Say in your heart whenever you are alone at night 3 times without moving your tongue, God is with me, God is looking at me, God is watching me.' This became his lifelong devotion. He memorized the Quran by the age of 7. Providing children with Islamic education and raising them up as good practicing Muslims are essential duties of parenthood. Rightfully fulfilling these duties will lead to the pleasure of God and good for the parents and the child in this life and the hereafter as well. However, ignoring these duties would lead to the destruction of the child's hereafter, and the wrath of God will befall the parents for not protecting their child from the traps of Satan and allowing him to choose the path of destruction. God's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Each of you is a shepherd, and each of you is responsible for his flock. The leader is a shepherd and is responsible for his flock. A man is a shepherd of his family and is responsible for his flock. A woman is shepherd in the house of your husband and is responsible for her flock. The servant is the shepherd of his master's wealth and is responsible for it. Each of you is a shepherd and is responsible for his flock." God says in the Quran, meaning, "O you who believe, save yourselves and your family from a fire whose fuel are man and stones." Surah At-Tahrim, Ayah 6. One of the ways of protecting your children from the fire is to let them memorize the words of God. Uqba bin Amir narrated, "The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, 'If the Quran is gathered in hide skin, i.e. referring to the one who memorizes the Holy Quran and acts upon it, God will not burn him with the fire.'" Teaching the children the Quran is a fundamental from the fundamentals of Islam. By it, the child will grow upon the fitra, natural Islamic monotheism, and the lights of wisdom will rush to their hearts before the desires are able to settle in them and darken them with the cloudiness of disobedience and misguidance, said Al-Hafiz As-Suyuti. This is because the child from the early age will be protected from the temptations of the world and whispers of the Satan. He will live and grow up among the gathering of dhikr, remembrance of God, where tranquility and the mercy of the Most High descends. And as a result, God will preserve his fitrah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "No people gather in a house of the houses of God, i.e. mosques, reciting the book of God and studying it among themselves, except that the tranquility descends upon them, and God mentioned them to those who are with him, the lofty gathering of angels." Your child will be given a position in paradise according to the number of verses he memorizes from the book of God. It will be said to him on the day of judgment, as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Read, assent, and recite with slow, rhythmic chanting, just as you used to recite in the worldly life. For verily, your position in paradise will be at the place of the last verse that you recite." Every time your child goes to the mosque to learn the Quran, he will have the reward of a perfect Hajj. Abu Umama al-Bahili narrated, "The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, 'Whoever goes to the mosque in the morning having no intention except to learn something good or teach it, he will have the reward like the person who performs Hajj.'" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to Abu Dhar, May God be pleased with him. O Abu Dhar, that you set out in the morning and learn one verse from the book of God is better for you than if you prayed 100 rakahs, units of prayer. The Qur'an will intercede for a child on the day of judgment. God's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, recite the Qur'an, for verily it will come on the day of judgment as an intercessor for those who recited it. Your child will be given to wear garments and a crown of honor on the day of judgment. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the Qur'an will come on the day of judgment and say, O Lord, adorn him. So the person will be made to wear the crown of honor. Then it, the Qur'an, will say, O Lord, increase him. So the person will be made to wear the garment of honor. Then it will say, O Lord, be pleased with him. So God will be pleased with him. Then it will be said, recite and assent. And the person will receive an extra good deeds for every verse that he recites of the Qur'an. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever recites the Qur'an, learns it and acts upon it will be given a crown of light to wear on the day of judgment, and its light will be like the light of the sun. So why not encourage our children to memorize the Qur'an and make them one of the best individuals of this ummah? God's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the best of you are those who love the Qur'an and teach it. God the Exalted has also promised abundant rewards for those parents who guide their children to memorize the Qur'an. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever recites the Qur'an, learns it and acts according to it will be given a crown of light to wear on the day of judgment, whose light will be like the sun. His parents will be clothed in two garments that did not exist in this worldly life. So they will say, what has caused us to be clothed in these garments? It will be said, your child taking hold of, i.e. memorizing the Qur'an, has caused this. When the parents leave a righteous child behind them, the child will be a source of reward and blessing for them after their death. For God's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, when a man dies, all his good deeds come to an end, except for three cases: the charity of continuous blessings, beneficial knowledge which he leaves behind, and a righteous child who prays for him. The parents will also receive equal amount of reward that the child receives by memorizing or reciting the Qur'an, for the parents guide him to this good act and instill in his heart the love for Islam and the love for the Book of God. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever guides to something good is like the one who does it. And whoever invites to guidance will receive the reward like the rewards of those who follow him, and that will not diminish anything from their rewards. The parents should also send those children who are intelligent and bright to learn the Qur'an and Islamic education. It should not be that only those children who, when are unsuccessful in worldly studies, are sent to madrasas for religious studies. The parents should realize the importance of Islamic education for their children and raising well-educated Muslims who would in the future work for the cause of Islam. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the example of guidance and knowledge with which God has sent me is like abundant rain falling on the earth, some of which was fertile soil, absorbed rainwater, and brought forth vegetation and grass in abundance. And another portion of it was hard and held their rainwater, and God benefited the people with it, and they utilized it for drinking, making their animals drink from it, and for irrigation of the land for cultivation. And a portion of it was barren, which could neither hold the water nor bring forth vegetation. Then that land gave no benefits. The first is the example of the person who comprehends God's religion and gets benefit from the knowledge which God has revealed through me, the Prophet, and learns and then teaches others. The last example is that of a person who does not care for it and does not take God's guidance revealed through me. He is like that barren land. Those parents who give the excuse that their child is weak or does not have good memory or he is not gifted should know that God has said in the Qur'an, meaning, and indeed we have made the Qur'an easy to remember. Surah Al-Qamar, Ayah 17. And the Messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever treads on a path in search of Islamic knowledge, God will ease the way to paradise for him. The angels will lower their wings, pleased with this seeker of knowledge, and everyone in the heavens and on earth will ask forgiveness for the knowledgeable person. Even the fish in the deepest of waters will ask for his forgiveness. It is not mandatory for your child to memorize the complete Quran. If he is not able to memorize the complete Quran, then know that only attending daily circle for memorization will suffice your child, for it will accustom him to frequent the places of worship rather than visiting evil gatherings. Your child will find good companions which will protect him from deviating and adopting evil habits and practices. God says, meaning, and keep yourself patiently with those who call on their Lord morning and afternoon, seeking His face, and let not your eyes overlook them, desiring the pomp and glitter of the life of the world. And obey not him whose hearts we have made heedless of our remembrance, one who follows his own lust and whose affairs, deeds have been lost. Surah Al-Kahf, Ayah 28.